YouTube, my name is Caitlin Costello and I am the YA fantasy author of the Rituals, and I haven't been on YouTube in a while, so I am binging several videos to get out all of the stuff I'm excited about. I've also had a fairly large iced coffee and I'm running pretty much on coffee, so I am quite hyper. So I'm gonna apologize now because I am rambling so fast that I can't breathe half the time. But as you know from today's title, I am doing a recent book read thing, spring winter edition thing. I was gonna combine this one with the last video, but I rambled on way too long for the last video, so they are now two. Ethan's jacket is in the corner, looking weird, so we're just gonna slide over so it doesn't seem like there's a person in here with me. It's just me and occasionally my cat. Wow, this is an intro. I'm telling you about the books I've been reading recently and I'm hyper. I apologize, I think. I don't know if I'm sorry or not. If you've been following me in the past, I used to do book reviews and on here and on my website all the time. But in the last year, I kind of fell into a bookish slump where I really wasn't reading at all. I think last year I read like maybe 10 books the entire year. I have read 13 books in the last month and a half. Whoa! Some of those were fairly short and like manga-y, but they still count. And I'm excited. Like, creativity is coming back and things are coming through. And I'm excited. Can you tell? Can you tell I'm hyper too? So, the first book I started for the year, but wasn't the first one I finished because it was a massive book, and I am so excited about this book and about book 2 and about the movie deal that's coming and like all of it, is Children of I can't even say it. I'm just too excited. Children of... We got this. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This was a 5-star. This was an instant 5-star. This book was amazing. It is about a girl and her brother trying to bring magic back to their kingdom, which is like the basic definition. That's like what you see like on the fact that it's been on the New York Times bestseller list for like over a year. That's like the little description that you get. But it is so much more than that. This book is about a girl named Zaylee who is not one of the last, but is someone that should be able to control magic, but the king took all the magic away, along with like her entire life and her family. Hi! Do you want to say hi? Okay, bye. And she ends up befriending people and being one of the only people that can bring magic back. But Tomi Adeyemi, who is the author, does an amazing job of incorporating African folklore magic into it and just making it so interesting and amazing. And I believe it was based off of West African culture. I could be wrong on that, and please correct me if I am. But I know it is somewhere based in Africa around her personal heritage that she took and adapted for her story. And I listened to the audiobook for it, which I highly, highly recommend because the narrator was amazing. She did, her accent that she used was absolutely beautiful, and honestly one of the main reasons that I listened to the audiobook, because 1, I love accents, and 2, it was a different, a lot of times you hear like British accents. She did more of a, I want to say a West African accent. I'm saying West Africa because that's what my knowledge is of African to English dialects. But it was just, it was so good. It was so worth it, a whole thing. And the growth that the characters had throughout just book 1 was amazing, and I can't wait for book 2, and the fact that she was a debut author and she wrote this tome and had a book deal or a movie deal before the book even came out. I give you props, I applaud you, and she's a beautiful person from what I've seen on Instagram, and I love it. I have rambled on a really long time, and this is book 1. The next book that I read was Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda, and this is one that I've heard stuff about for years. If you don't know, it recently came out, I believe last year, possibly the year before Christmas time. A movie called Love, Simon, so this is another book that had a movie adaptation. I have not watched that yet, I wanted to wait. But I really liked this book, which is strange for me because I don't really like, or I thought I didn't really like contemporary fiction. What you'll see is I have learned that I am learning to enjoy, or at least like, these books. Where it's not so much about, specifically about a romance, but it's about the characters learning about themselves. Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda, if you don't know, is about a character named Simon, who is speaking with someone called Blue through email. He doesn't know his name, so he calls him Blue. And the two of them are emailing back and forth, and someone from school finds his emails and knows he's talking to someone and uses that for blackmail. But Simon doesn't know who Blue is, and the other person doesn't know who Blue is. And it's about him and his relationship with Blue and learning to understand his sexuality, which was really cool. I didn't really know what it was about going into it somehow. Like, I knew it was about someone that was learning their sexuality being gay, but I didn't know much more about that. The next book I read was a very fast read, a very fun read. It's called Adulthood is a Myth, and it is a cartoon book. It's a series of sketches and cartoons, and I can't read who the author is, but I will put all of that in when I put, like, the cover and stuff beside me, or on top of me, probably on my shoulder. All of that stuff. And this was just a really fun, cute read about it was a cartoon, a series of comics, there we go, about becoming an adult and, like, little things that you do in adulthood. And I enjoyed it. This was a fast read. It was, like, less than a day that I finished it, because I just sat there and binged it. Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda was by Becky Albertalli. You will see a pattern. The next book I read after Adulthood is a Myth is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. Do you see a pattern? The Upside of Unrequited is about a girl whose parents are gay and her sister is gay, and she's trying to figure out herself, and she has had 27 crushes but never followed through on any of them. So the upside of unrequited love and never going through rejection and all of that stuff and figuring out what it's like to be rejected. I really liked it. It was cute. It was sappy. But it wasn't just about the romance. It was about her understanding herself and helping her sister go through her first real relationship. And that type of thing. It was cute. These are cute stories. They're cute, fast stories. Pattern. Very different from Rebellion, which is my book that'll be coming out soon. Links down below, because this will probably come out after that. Not after that, after the cover reveal. If you haven't watched that, go watch my book trailer. The next one I read was 100 Genius Recipes, and it was a cookbook. And I just kind of looked through the cookbook. Some of them I read really in-depthly. Some of them I went, that's weird. I'm not going to do that because I'm trying to learn how to be a better cook. And my computer screen just closed because I'm talking about books too long. Come back. Can I bring a mouse down here or something? Not really. Okay. Well, it was worth a shot. The next book that I read was Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertati. I can't say her name, and I really like her stuff. This book was, it's all in the same, so with Simon vs. Homo Sapien Agenda, The Upside of Unrequited, and Leah on the Offbeat are all books within the, I think it was the Creekwood High series. So they're all around the school and or characters that have relationships or relations to that school. Circling. Ethan called me to say that there was a package coming. It's not here yet. So it's all in characters surrounding that high school. Leah on the Offbeat is about the character Leah going through trying to understand herself and her sexuality in the end of senior year of high school. If you are in your senior year of high school or you have gone through it, you remember that there is changes, there is things that go on. You lose friends, you gain friends, you trying to understand what your life is going to be like after your high school year ends and you go into your summer, and do you keep friends or do you lose friends? That's kind of what Leah's going through. Along with the fact that she is bisexual, but she has never told any of her friends. The only person that knows is her mother. And some stuff is going on. And I'm going to leave it at that. Can you tell that I really enjoy the books I've been reading? I don't think there's been one this year that I have not enjoyed so far. The next book that I read is called Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. I believe that's how you say his name. This book is another one. I mainly have been lately going through and reading a lot of past releases that I have heard things that I've really enjoyed that I've been wanting to read for a long time. So this one is about a special home for kids that have come back through the doorway. So for example, not actual characters in the book, but if Lucy from Lion and the Witch and Wardrobe was having a hard time acclimating back to the normal world, she could go to this home. So it's about these kids that have gone to this other world and have gone through a doorway and are trying to understand what life is like now that they're back in the normal world and want to go back to their world and find their doorway. And I'm still not entirely sure on certain aspects of this book. It reads like an adult fiction, but it's about teenagers. And it goes through some very dark things, but it's also lighthearted. And at times it reads like it's happening like in 1980 or something like that. But then you get references to like Wikipedia and iPhones, and you're just like, wait, that hasn't been consistent throughout. So those are some things where it was like, I'm intrigued, but I'm confused. I should also say this is a very short book. It was a 4-hour long audiobook. I finished it in one day. But it was intriguing, it was dark, it was twisted, it wasn't anything that I was expecting at all, and it was so good. You definitely have to be in the mindset for it. I think if I had known more about it going into it, I would have definitely rather read the book. I think I might still buy it or get it from my library and read it, because I feel like I lost a lot of it because it is such a short book. I believe there's 3, possibly 4 more books in the series, and they all are very short snippets. So I'm intrigued. There definitely was some stuff that was left open-ended that I'm like, about, but I'm excited for it. I think that was the first one that I gave a 4 stars. I could be wrong. I'm not looking at my thing says. The next book is called IRL, and I can't remember the author's first name, but I believe her last name is Wang. And the next 2 books that I read were by her, and she is a comic artist and cartoonist. And it's a manga. And IRL is about, interestingly, it's about a girl that goes and joins an online world through a guilds that is going to be all female led, so it's more of like a high school empowerment, and it's a special guild for high school girls to play this online game. That's a very poor description. But she goes into the game and she starts learning about how... Oh, that's the cat. Certain people are what they call gold miners, and they are people that are paid to do certain things to make money off of the game. Versus what she's doing, where she's making money by going on these missions that people tell her to do. And she's making money in the real world by doing it. So it's like about those intricacies and how people make money off of games. I'm explaining this very poorly. Please go read the reviews and the description of it, because it was really interesting and I really enjoyed her art style. So I got that one. And then the next one that I got from her was called The Prince and the Dressmaker, and this was about a prince who likes to wear dresses, and he hires a special dressmaker to make him dresses, and then he ends up taking on a special name, and going out into the city and being the center of Paris fashion. But nobody knows that he's the prince, and nobody knows that she is his special dressmaker, and their relationship as his fame as this alter ego rises, and she wants to have her fashion known and all these things because he can't reveal that he's the prince, and the prince likes to wear dresses, and dealing with that. And it was really good. I definitely liked the Prince and the Dressmaker better than IRL. It took me a bit longer to get through, so I was able to really absorb the story more. I also had more of a connection to it, as I have quite a few friends that are trans, and so going into it, the prince is not overtly trans. It doesn't say that, it just says that he likes to wear dresses, but some of the themes that ran through it were very personal with some of the things that I've seen my friends go through, so I liked it. Yeah, my neighbors are driving past. The next book that I read was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, not Hank, John. I always mix them up. By John Green. And this, how to describe this? It's about a girl who has anxiety, and like, I've heard a lot of things about people being like, I've never related to it more, and things like that, and it definitely gave me a new perspective on what it can be like to live with anxiety. But the main theme, or like the story arc that goes through it, is there is a billionaire, one of the two, that ends up going missing after his home is raided by the police. And there's a search warrant out for him and things like that. And she used to go to a special camp for, it was like, you know how kids can sometimes be sent to fat camp? It was a camp for kids that are grieving the loss of a family member. So she and the millionaire's son went to the same camp. So she ends up reconnecting with this person to try originally to find where his father went to get the reward that the police are putting out for him. And that's where it starts, but then it becomes their relationship and trying to understand her anxiety and how everything in her life kind of spirals. Which turtles all the way down. It was good. It definitely hasn't been my favorite book that I have read. It's also my first book of Hank. See, I did it right there. My first book by John Green that I've ever read. I think he definitely has a specific style, and he's more of the contemporary fiction that I'm not a huge fan of. But I could appreciate the story for what it was. I believe I gave him either a... The Amazon man is right there for the package. I believe I gave that either a 3 or a 4 star. It wasn't my favorite for the year so far. I feel weird filming with him right there. I just want to finish filming this video. I only have 2 minutes left of space. Okay. If you don't like hearing about sexual relations, this book has quite a bit of it, quite explicitly, especially in the very first scene, so... If you don't want to hear about it, this is one I would strongly recommend you shy away from. If you are under 18, definitely one to shy away from. But still a very good book. I definitely enjoyed it. There's quite a few books. There's not many books lately that I've read that have left me feeling very creeped out. This is one. I haven't felt that creeped out by a book since I read Cujo in high school. Cujo is by, not James Patterson, Stephen King. That one creeped me out. This one creeped me out. I also am afraid of fire. This one has to deal explicitly with fire, so it makes sense. Okay, last two books. I've got less than 2 minutes left. Crap. The last two books that I read were both by Riordan. It was Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard and the Trials of Apollo and the Burning Maze. Both were amazing. Both made me want to cry. Magnus Chase was, and the Ship of the Dead was the final book in the Magnus Chase trilogy, which I loved, and I wish this was a longer one because I loved reading about Norse mythology and all of that. I really like Norse mythology. I did a long paper on it in college, and I just love it in the book. Trials of Apollo, The Burning Maze was amazing. There was quite a bit in it that made me want to cry. Definitely, since reading his books over the last few years, I've seen how the books grow up, and I'm running out of time. Crap! I'm wasting time! It was so good. I wanted to cry. The books have really grown up over the last few years. I also recently learned that Rick Riordan actually had an adult series of books before the Percy Jackson series came out, and makes me want to read those. All of my social media links will be down below. I have 10 seconds left. I love you all. Everything's down below. All the books, all the links, all of my reviews. I'm going to do extended reviews on my blog. I love you. Bye. If you've ever been home when someone from Amazon comes, I always think it's weird that they don't knock, they just ring the doorbell and then they walk away. Also, they take a picture of your front door, and that's how they notify you that your stuff is there. I think it's a bit weird. What do you think? Okay, they're gone.